I'm Lachlan from ACE Training, and this is episode 1 of a 5-part video series looking at quick solutions to common data problems. And in this episode, we're looking at the common challenge of wanting to test whether or not things add up properly, and maybe if they don't, understand why. Come and have a look at this scenario with me. Here I've got some projects, and these projects have a budgeted cost. And I'm wanting to compare that budgeted cost with the actual cost to understand whether or not these projects were on budget, maybe over budget, or under budget. And in order to do this, I need to use a function in Excel called the if function. And the if function is very flexible and useful, and it allows you to perform a test, and then based on the results of that test, produce an outcome whether that thing was true or whether it was false. Now in my scenario, I know I want to produce 3 outcomes: on, over, or under. And so I need to switch to using an ifs function, the ifs function. And it allows me to produce multiple outcomes, more than 2. And so I'm going to have 3 tests and 3 outcomes, 1 for on, 1 for over, and 1 for under. Come and follow along as I write this function. I start by typing in the name of the function, the ifs function, and lock it in with the tab key. And from here, I'm going to perform my first test, comparing the actual cost with the budgeted cost. And if that is true, I want to produce the outcome on budget. For my second test, I want to see whether the actual cost was greater than the budgeted cost. And for that, I'm going to produce the outcome of over budget. For the final test, I want to see if the actual cost is less than the budgeted cost. And for that, I'm going to produce the outcome under budget. Once I'm done with my tests and my outcomes, I'm ready to close the bracket and lock it in. And because this is written in a table, that formula automatically fills down for the whole column. And you can see how one formula is actually producing 3 different outcomes: over, under, and we've got one project that is on budget, where it equals exactly. From here, there's a few creative things we can do. I'm going to use some conditional formatting to make this column a bit more visual. And then we're going to try and work out the variance here. By how much was something under or over budget? Let's start with that formatting. I'm going to select this column, come up to conditional formatting, and I'm going to write these rules. When this column is equal to the words on budget, I want it to be yellow. When this column is equal to over budget, I want it to be red. And when it is equal to under budget, I want it to be green. That makes a big difference. Look at that. Great. Now for the variance. To understand the variance, I want to write a quick calculation here that looks to compare the actual budgeted cost and the actual cost. Now if you can imagine, if I want a positive number, if we are under budget, then I'm going to take the budgeted cost and subtract the actual cost. If that's a negative number here, that means we were over budget. When it's a positive number, it means we are under budget. And you can see there's 0 here when we are perfectly on budget. To know the percentage of the original budget that we are over, we need to do another calculation. This one, I've formatted this column to be a percentage. And I want to understand the amount of the variance out of our original budgeted cost. And that calculation produces, there we go, our percentages. Again, I've chosen for negative numbers when we're looking at being over budget, overspent, and a positive number for when it is under budget. It's money remaining. And watch how this is dynamic. If I made a change to this and I took this first project and I reduced its actual cost to 400,000, watch as that automatically changes to under budget and the variance to a positive number. This has been an example of how the if function, part of the family of logical functions, allows us to to test any criteria you want and produce dynamic outcomes. And it can be very, very useful when we're working with things like costs. If you're interested in learning more about the family of logical functions and how they work, I really recommend coming along to our Excel time-saving features course. If you want to find out more, check out our courses at ace.co.nz.